I speak with Prime Minister Netanyahu all the time. We're declining to meet with him. I'm declining to meet with him simply because our general policy is we don't meet with any world leader 2 weeks before their election. I think that's inappropriate, and that's true with some of our closest allies. David Cameron, who's got an election coming up, recently came to visit because we insisted that if he wants to come, and it was a very important meeting, he needs to be far away enough from the election that it doesn't look like in some ways we're meddling or putting our thumbs on the scale.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all to the Steve Malzberg Show. We're back. I want to thank John Bachman and the entire Florida crew for making yesterday's show possible. But we're back in New York today. I want to point out something to you. Fareed Zakaria interviewed the president. It's going to air in its entirety on his show on Sunday, which seems like a long time to hold an interview with the president. I mean, today's Wednesday. He did the interview, yesterday or Monday, and it's going to air on Sunday? Anyway, do you hear what he said? The reason he won't meet with Netanyahu when Netanyahu comes here to address the joint session of Congress at the invitation of John Boehner, we know the brouhaha that's erupted, and part of that brouhaha is that Obama said he will not meet with with Netanyahu, and he says the reason is because it's so close to the Israeli elections. And then what he said in that bite, and you may not have heard it, but I'm going to repeat it for you. He said, it's too close. That's our policy. We wouldn't meet. And he says that's the way it is even with our closest allies. In other words, isn't Israel one of your closest allies? Hasn't Israel always been one of the U.S.'s closest allies, if not the closest ally? And what he said was, that's true with some of our closest, and he stressed closest allies. So in other words, it's not just Israel we're doing this to. This is true with some of our closest allies, which means, the way he said it, Israel is not. Do we have that cut again that we came out with to play again? Because I want you to pay attention to how he says that. He says that's true with some of our closest allies, which would mean Israel's not. Watch this.
I speak with Prime Minister Netanyahu all the time. We're declining to meet with him. I'm declining to meet with him simply because our general policy is we don't meet with any world leader 2 weeks before their election. I think that's inappropriate, and that's true with some of our closest allies. David Cameron, who's got an election coming up, recently came to visit because we insisted that if he wants to come, and it was a very important meeting, he needs to be far away enough from the election that it doesn't look like in some ways we're meddling or putting our thumbs on the scale.
Yeah, so that's true with even some of our closest allies. So that's why we do it to Israel, who used to be a close ally, I guess. All right, of course we have Hezbollah launching an attack across the Lebanese border into Israel, killing 2 soldiers and wounding several others. Netanyahu says Hezbollah and Iran will pay the price. Now, it's interesting. Of course, it's Iran that oversaw the overthrow of the Yemeni government. It's Iran that was behind Hezbollah's attack into Israel. It's Iran threatening to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. And yet Obama sits there and tells Fareed Zakaria, hey, Iran could rejoin the world of nations. It's incredible. It is just incredible. Okay, enough of that. You know what's turned into a real circus show in my view? I want you to watch John Avlon, who is on with his wife. John Avlon worked in the Giuliani administration. So they tout him as kind of a Republican. He's no Republican. If ever there was a rhino, he's worse than a rhino. His wife, who sits next to him, is a rhino Republican. He is just about a liberal Democrat. Yet they tout him and her as Republicans. That's a CNN Republican. Listen to what he said about the Iowa Steve King get-together. Watch.
Let's get real. This is the Dean of the Crazy Caucus, Steve King's cattle call. All right? We cover it because not only is it the first time they all get together, and that's exciting, but it's the place most likely for a Republican aspirant to say something incredibly crazy in an attempt to pander to the base out in Iowa. So we're all hoping for the car crash, and there were a lot of them, right? I mean, Sarah Palin's noun salad was I mean, you could diagram those sentences for days and still not make sense of them, okay? But this is the place where the people come to pander and play to the base. The reason you don't go is because you actually think that maybe being responsible might get you the nomination.
Right. The dean of the crazy caucus, Stephen King. And the reason they cover this, CNN and others, is to see what crazy things those Republicans will say. This is disgusting. It really is. And he and his wife, to me, have become really a sideshow. But unfortunately, when CNN looks for Republican representation, they go to these two. And they go to others. Newt Gingrich aside, and some others aside. Most of them are nowhere near what you and I would consider a Republican. Stephen Moore is next. Don't go away.